Hi there, I'm Tom from todo.vu, and in this video I'm going to tell you a little bit about time tracking within todo.vu. The principle here is that you add time always to a task, and this can be done by viewing a task and then clicking on the clock icon to the top right hand corner. But before I do that, I'll tell you a little bit about the setup of time. If you haven't already done so, you can go to the time and billing settings in your workspace. Make sure that you have time turned on. You can choose your minimum increment of time. Generally, it's actually quite practical to have a small increment, but if you particularly want to limit the detail of time that is entered by your staff, you can change that globally. You can also set your billing currency. You can set a default hourly rate for the entire workspace, and you can also add a couple of tax rates to your system. Now, the hourly rate can be further customized on a staff and project basis, and it can also be edited on individual time entries. And the tax rates can be adjusted on an individual client basis, so you can automatically set up different taxes for different clients. So returning back to my task, if I would like to add time to a task, I will click on the clock icon to the top right. It shows me how much time has already been recorded on this task, if some has. When I click on that, a drawer pops out. It automatically estimates my time from the last task that I finished today. So at the moment it's a few minutes, about 20 minutes past 4, and the last task I entered was up to about 3:30. So it's gone and assumed that I've spent 50 minutes on this task. Of course, if that's not correct, I can actually adjust either through the ruler bar, or I can choose a default from the little discs, or I can actually adjust the time by pushing the numbers. In fact, I can even use my mouse and adjust the time as well. So I can enter time anywhere today, even in the future. I can also enter time on previous days, in which case it will warn me that I'm entering the time on a previous day. There's my bar there. There it is. I can also, if I'm an admin user, I can enter time for another user. Most staff can't do that. In this particular case, I'm adding time to an in-house task, so it just warns me that I'm doing that. And I can also modify the charges and the billing rates before I enter the time if I like. When I've got everything set up correctly, I click log time, and the time will be added to the list of the time entries on that task, and the total will be updated. Now, all of the time entries that I've added can be seen under my time agenda view. So this shows me a list of all the time entries that I've added today. It shows me the different staff who have added time entries today, and I can view their time. If I'm an admin user, I can browse through forward and backwards through the agenda view, looking at different users' time entries. I can also click on a time entry and modify its charges. I could mark it as non-billable, in which case it won't be possible to add to an invoice report, or I can change the billing rate on that task. Now, finally, I'll take you to billing. In this particular case, I'm looking at a workspace that has a large amount of time entries in it. I thought this would be best for the presentation. I can see a timeline of time entries that have been added over time. The blue time entries are yet to be billed. The red ones are in a draft status, the green ones have been billed, and the purple ones are non-billable. So this gives me a visual representation of how I'm tracking. I can see my largest clients with the most unbilled time. I can drill down into these clients and see the most significant projects, and I can also look at the individual tasks. I can navigate my way back up. I can pick a particular client So I can either choose a client directly from the listing here or on the left hand side, or I can search for a particular client. This one has 5 hours of unbilled time, so I'll take a look at them. Within the client time area, I can see unbilled time. I can also see time that has been designated as non-billable, and I can see previous invoice reports that have been generated. The time that is currently unbilled, I can select that time. I can change the billing rate if I like, or mark it as non-billable. I can filter the time by employee, or I can filter it actually by date range using the date selector. Once I'm ready to bill the time, I can select it and add it to a new billing report. That will create a new billing report for me. I can then give this billing report a name. I can give it a invoice ID if I like to. This is very handy if I want to reference an external invoice number that I'm using in an external system. And then once I'm satisfied that I'm ready to bill that time, I can create a bill. Now this bill will be presented in a nice, neat format for the client to read, showing all the details of the times, along with taxes and totals. If I want to change the amount of detail, I can choose task totals only, or if I want to hide much of the detail, I can just go down to project totals. So I can change the amount of detail that the client sees. This particular billing report has a URL that can be copied, and then that can actually be pasted into a completely new browser window and viewed independently so that the client can see that. So you can email that URL to your clients and they'll be able to see the invoice report. As you can see, I can see a list of previous invoice reports. On the main billing page, I can also see my top clients and draft invoices that haven't yet been sent. So that was a quick overview of how to record time, set up your time settings, and also to convert your time entries into billable reports that you can send to your clients. I hope that helped. If you have any questions, feel free to send us a message using the support button at the top of your workspace, and have fun using todo.vu.